What up, people? It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. This is going to be a really good show. We got a panel full of educators, moms and dads, my friends and family. I'm not going to give you everything about them, but just know that they're very wise and educated. And so I reached out to them because they have a viewpoint that I may not have, and I wanted to have that discussion about fathers and what they think about fathers. So we're going to introduce them one by one, and then we'll get to know them personally. Here we go. We got Miss Shay.
I'm first.
I'm just going to put up everybody. I'm going to put up everybody, right?
Bam. Okay, I'm Shay McNuckles,
Yeah.
mom of one.
I bet. Got Mr. Eric.
How you guys doing? My name is Eric T. Jackson. I'm a father of 4.
That's a bet. We got Kiana.
Hi, I'm a mother of 3, 2 boys and 1 girl.
That's what's up. Mr. Dwayne.
All right. Dwayne, married for 7 years. We have four beautiful children, 2 boys and 2 girls.
Shanteri in the building.
Hello, everybody. Shanteri Glenn, mother of 4, married 15, divorced 2.
And Mr. Antoine. What it do?
How's everybody doing? Antoine Renee, husband, father of 3 girls.
Come on, bro. So you just gonna start it off like that? Like, listen, I might have to clip that. Okay.
No.
Well, appreciate
father of 3 girls.
That's what's up. All right, so appreciate everybody being here. We're gonna have a good discussion. Won't take up much of your time, and we're gonna talk about fathers, right? Okay, everybody has one to some sort, right? So we're gonna start out with the first question, and the first question is, how would you rate dads in general, 1 through 10? 1 being really bad, and 10 being excellent in general over the spectrum of what you've seen or how you would describe it. And we're going to start with, we're going to do it like we do with in the classroom, Shanteri. Like, we're not going to tell you who we're going to call on, right? Just be ready with your answer, right? All right. We're going to start off with Mr. Dwayne.
Man, I'm going to have to say 10. I'm sorry, but it's essential.
Okay.
Essential.
So you're going to rate dads in general as a 10.
It has to be. Yeah, it has to be.
Okay. I bet. Okay. We're going to go with Miss Kiana.
I'm gonna say 5, 6.
5, 6. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Got you. All right. Shanteri.
7, 8. So yeah.
Okay. So we got 2 numbers instead of 1. I got
7. It's a strong 7. It's a strong 7 for me.
It's a strong 7. Okay. All right. Bet. Eric.
Yeah, if I'm understanding the question correctly, I would have to say a 5, man.
Okay, 5. All right. Antoine.
I need to get clarification. What do you mean about this? Like the importance of dads?
It can't be the importance.
What was the question?
Oh, you mean like the performance of dads? I don't understand what you mean by rate them.
However
rate
you feel, and then you can do it however you want to, but you're on a delay, so we may, you know what I'm saying.
We're gonna hear your answer now.
The importance is definitely a 10. Y'all got to bear with me. I don't know how to get over the delay, but the importance of them is definitely a 10.
Yeah, that wasn't the question, but okay.
Oh.
I'm with you, Antoine.
I'm just asking you to
I
rate.
want Antoine too, because I was gonna ask how. Okay, I see it on the screen. How would you rate dads in general? Okay.
It doesn't say
like the performance.
However you want to
rate dads, like in their performance.
Yes.
And then, yeah.
You're gonna I'll explain. Okay, all right.
I'll make them
like
10.
I gotta make an accommodation. So let me go ahead and make this accommodation, right? So the question is, how would you rate dads in general? Like,
can I get an accommodation?
In general, in your circle, what grade or rate would you say that the dads are in your circle are?
Wow.
And if you want to clarify, you can. But
That's a different question.
A totally different question. I want to change my number.
Well, we can come back to that and change the number. That's
in
fine.
my circle, all the fathers that I know in my circle, I'll have to give them like a 9 or a 10 for real. That's real. The ones that I know.
Yeah. The ones I know are off the charts. It would be above a 10.
Okay, I got it. Shay, what you got?
10.
10. All right, Kiana, you wanted to change your answer?
I'm gonna say 9 because some of them need a little work.
9 is a really good number. Ted, did you want to change your number?
I picked 7. I'm gonna stick beside it.
Okay.
I said what I said, right?
Strong 7.
Right.
Strong 7.
Hey,
Yeah.
Dwayne, so you staying with your number?
Absolutely.
All right, bet. Okay, so now we have who it is in your circle. So now we're going to talk about in the United States. Okay, to be more generalized, right?
Yep.
What would you say is the rating for dads from your perspective? Not media, not anything other than your perspective. Shane already said she's staying at a 7. Okay.
That's if you're and that's the question I was answering at first. I think that in general, there's a lot of good ones, a lot of bad ones. I would rate it in the middle, 5.
Right there with you.
Okay. Shay, what you got?
I'm giving some credit and say like a 7.
Going with a 7. Okay, cool. So so my number, I would say in general, I think that it's an 8. And the reason why I say that is because I think that dads get a bad rep, and there are more active fathers than there are not active fathers, and sometimes it's a result of conversations between the mom and the dad. Like there are dudes that are working with the mother of their kids to do well, but at the same time, there may be a situation where the woman is being challenging in order for that dad to be active, right? Not all the time, I'm just saying in general, right? And so, and also in the current generation, most dads currently are not wanting to be like their dads before them, which were absentee fathers. So that's why I would say an 8. That I would see based on what I've been seeing that there are more active fathers than not. Okay. So then I'm gonna go to my next question, right? The next question is, how do you know a dude would be a good dad? So that would be for the women, right? But then from the men's perspective, like if you were to talk to your daughter's whoever she wants to date this dude, like what are some things that you're looking for to identify that this dude will be a good dad? Think about it first, and then I'll give you some think time, right? And then whoever wants to go can go.
I would determine it by their relationship with their parents, both parents, not just one, the mom and the dad.
So why is that? Why mom and dad?
Because from my point of view, I think the woman has a specific role in what they can do to nurture the child, and so does the father in what they teach the child. And so I think a combination of those things and how they respect their parents would give me a strong indication of, okay, they would be a pretty good dad,
Anyone else?
Or that relationship that they had with those parents too, like if they were active and how well their relationship is. So yeah.
Are we talking about gentlemen with children already or
beforehand?
So let me just say that I think you asked about, I guess, meeting them. I guess I couldn't really tell if they'd be a good dad by meeting them. I'd have to see them over time, interact with people, and I think how they acted towards people in general, their parents, me, my daughter, you know, even homeless people. That would tell me the type of people they are, and then the type of person they are would tell me what kind of dad they would be.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. I think one of the big things for me is initiative. You know, some of these younger people lack initiative. So the get up and do, like if something has to be done, they're not sitting back waiting for somebody else to do it. They're stepping up, and that's one of the things for me is initiative.
Okay, Shantari, what you think?
I mean, I would agree with that. I think what came to my mind was, are they goal oriented? How are they with their friends? If they have pets, that's a great indication, as well as how they treat people. If you care for a dog, and I mean care for an animal, a dog, a cat, um, I think that's also an indication of the type of parent that you would be as well. I know it sounds weird, but I think
But
so.
what if they don't have a pet though?
I'm saying that's just one indicator,
Okay,
right?
okay.
You want someone who has goals, who's goal oriented. You definitely want to see how they talk to people, how they act towards people, family, friends,
Mhm.
even those that they don't get along with. Like if you could tell me that you knew someone and you all don't always see eye to eye, but your interaction with them all the time was positive, I think that's also a great indicator of the type of parent you would be.
Absolutely.
Interesting. That's interesting to me about the pet one, right? Like, if you're taking care of a pet, um, and you see how they treat the pet, you have an idea of how they will treat people. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because I mean, I have animals at home, and so I care for them similar to my children. I provide food, clothing, and shelter. Not clothing, but I provide shelter. I provide food for them. Those same things I have to provide for my children. They seek love, they seek affection, a time, and attention. So if I'm able to do that with a animal, I should be able theoretically to with a human.
You hear that, Dwayne?
Yeah.
You hear that?
Hey, oh man, oh I do, oh I do. I'm a
Don't
cat.
mess up.
That does
I'm
not
a
look like
cat.
an agreed.
I'm a cat person, right? So whenever me and my wife got married, I inherited a dog, and that was tough. That was tough.
Was it?
There's a lot of character building there.
Let's see, because I don't like that. So I don't know.
So
My son has been begging for a dog. I'm like, no, I don't even like it at all.
Oh
But you
man.
love, children.
I love my son.
Well, I know that. I would hope so. I mean, just in general, children in general.
I don't think I could say that. Just to be honest, I
Yeah,
don't think I can say that. I do love my son. I
right.
do. And I want what's best for my son. Do I love children in general? It's relative, honestly. I'm just gonna
I
be so.
like that honesty though. That's what's up. Hey, listen,
Yeah.
that's what's up. Kiana, what you got? What you thinking?
I'm thinking of my situation now, because my husband now, I knew he was a good. What I feel like he is a good father now, and when we have our own together, he would definitely be a good father. Um, and how I felt like he was the one, it was just him not thinking about himself, thinking about me, thinking about my kids. And even when I was out of town, he would go visit them and I'm not even there. So it's like just the love that he shows for my kids and getting up early in the morning and getting them dressed, getting their lunch prepared and taking them to school. That says a lot for him. So I know he's a good dad now, but you know, so I just thought about that.
That's what's
So
up.
how
So
did you know then?
I was gonna add. Thank you, Shay.
How did I know then?
Like, I know you mentioned that he would go see the kids when you wasn't there, but other than that, was there anything else that led you to believe Oh, he would be a good dad.
Um, just putting us first, and even my goals, just pushing me and pushing my kids to do better. Even instilling in them like different things. Like for instance, with our oldest, having those, heart to heart conversations as far as don't ever put yourself in a situation
Mm-hmm.
where you can't get out of it. Like for instance, don't be in a room with a girl because they could easily say what.
Anything.
So it's like situations like that I think of when that's brought up.
Nice. That's good.
Absolutely.
That's really good.
Yeah.
What you think, Antoine? How do you, the question? I think you was. I'm not sure if you was online or not, and then we'll come to you. I
I
think you.
heard you.
I bet you don't gotta cut me off like that though, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse my delay. No, I think that a couple things I would always advise my daughters: check the man's discipline. Does he have boundaries? Those are important, even for them. Like, does he let them run over his boundaries? That's not a good sign. Being able to, and also being able to um, check his reluctance to being checked by other men, like being evaluated by me, because she's not going to be able to properly evaluate. To be honest, she love him, she like him already. You ain't gonna be able to evaluate nobody if you like him. It's just simple. But if he's reluctant to say, "Hey, come meet my father, come meet the elders of my church," if you don't have a father, whatever. My daughters will have me, but if different women are in different situations. Is he open to being evaluated? Because real men who are, I guess, who can stand the test of time don't mind you evaluating them. So I just think those are simple things the Bible kind of teaches, discipline, boundaries, putting yourself out there to be evaluated, just to show that you have good intentions and that you're there to last.
That's good.
That
Yeah.
is really good. I didn't think about being open to being.
Kudos.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
that was good.
Man,
And
I'm so
patience
glad that
too.
delay was. Listen, it was well worth.
They gotta have patience. And
Yeah,
my husband
Gotta
has
have
more
patience.
patience. He has more patience than I do.
Mm.
that was good.
That's what's up. So, how, where did you get that from, Antoine? Was that something that was taught to you, as far as the characteristics that you've given, or did you come up with those on your own?
Just from my own upbringing and the things that I lacked as a man,
Yeah.
as a young man, it helped me understand how to be evaluated going through the evaluation process. And because I didn't understand standards, I didn't understand boundaries for women, things of that nature. So I now, but I grew up in like a broken home. My biological father wasn't there. So all kind of stuff where if you're not taught all these things, you kind of learn through bumping your head.
Yep.
So now I kind of understand, had my father been there, he would have boundaries. He would have gave me discipline. Like I watched some of my friends who have had fathers, and I watched them have boundaries for women. Like no matter how pretty they are, they set boundaries for women, and they say, "No, you can't come over here," or "No, that's not for you." No matter how, and I never had any of that, so that what I'm saying. I'm creating this guy who I wasn't, so I just understand that that's how the guy you really want to look for. Because I understand I had to like learn these things on the fly, but my friends who had fathers, they all had these similar characteristics. They were disciplined. They had boundaries for women. They weren't so caught up in the beauty of women and how they looked that they would let them, shave off these boundaries and things like that. And they were always open to be evaluated. They didn't have anything to hide. So that's just something I kind of learned through my friends.
That's what's up. So it's kind of like a man's man. It's
Yeah.
kind of like the ideal of a man's man, willing to be held accountable. That's the one thing that I know about the men on the panel for sure, that they're cool with being held accountable. Um, Now, going into the next question, does anybody have anything to add before we move on to what Antoine said?
Antoine put a nice bow on that.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
That's what's up. All right, so we all know that every situation is different as it relates to fathers being in the house and being out of the house, right? And so my question to the panel would be, how does a dad parent outside of the household? How would a dad parent well? I'll put that well. I didn't put it there then, but I'll put it there now. How does a dad parent well outside of the household? Then anybody can go.
So since I'm divorced, how long have I been divorced? 5 years now. So it seems like a lot shorter than that. But I've been parenting outside of the household ever since then. And all my friends, everybody that see the interaction between us, they feel like we are doing it the right way. But it took a lot of uh, it took a lot of me sacrificing myself. You know, like I would get the kids no matter what, no matter my time, any of that. I was paying time. I didn't care. I didn't want to take my kids for granted. If she was having a bad day, she could drop them off. Uh, I never resented her for the divorce. You know, I think those are just little things that divorced fathers can do uh, to make it smooth for the children. My children. So I said I wanted to feel like I'm not even out of the house when I was divorced. And to a man, my kids, they don't feel like we're divorced. Now when I get in a relationship, well, I'm in one now, so it sort of had to change a little bit, but it's still like I'm always there. Anytime they call, anytime they need me to come over, and it helps that I'm only like 8 minutes down the road. We're still in the same, sort of vicinity, but just doing those things, a few little things like that can make the world of difference for the children, and the relationship won't be strained. Like we're real cordial. We've said in the past that we get along better now than we did when we were married, things like that. And you know, I think that those are just a few tips that will help divorced dads, be able to parent well outside of the house.
Appreciate that. Anybody else?
I'm also a divorced parent as well, and I'm not a dad, but I think some things that have gone well with the father of my children in parenting outside of the home. Um, we have in the past had some difficulties with children at school. And so, us coming together to have family meeting times where we are on one accord to have a conference, if you will, with all of the children concerning the one incident with the one child, but also making everybody aware of what the expectation is
Yep.
for behavior, whether that be at school, when they're with friends, when they're visiting family. So, family conference times has been well for us as far as parenting outside the home when we can come together and meet. I think the children should also see their dad present um, at my home, making sure he's there during his time, like Mr. Jackson said, just being available and keeping open communication
Mhm.
with their mother is definitely a positive way of making sure children understand that dads are doing well parenting outside the home. Um, Even though we're in two different households, when it pertains to the children, the communication should be fluid. It shouldn't be that we live in separate places.
Right.
They their father should know every and anything concerning them. It's my job to make sure that that information is communicated and vice versa. And so I think that also helps and is a big key with dads who are parenting outside of homes.
That's really good. That's really good. How did y'all come up with the idea to do a in-home conference, if you will? And like, how do y'all decide who leads that conversation?
For me, whenever we are all together, even though he's my ex, he still leads. Um, quite frankly, he's better at it. He has always been better at it, so there's no need in me to interject. He'll come and ask me if I have anything to add, and at that time I will. But if we are together, he still leads those conversations. I don't have another husband, I don't have a boyfriend, so he still leads. If we had someone enter in the picture, then that would be, their father is still their father, so he would still lead those conversations. Is I think a conversation I would have at that point. So, you know,
That's
he
what.
And that,
still needs, they still need to understand that I respect him as their father and the head of that relationship.
and that's
That's what's up.
awesome that she defers to him like that. My ex defers to me as well, but yeah, it had somebody has to be the leader and somebody has to allow them to lead. Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally agree. Before me and my husband got married, he pulled my oldest son to the side, his father to the side, and had a conversation like, I'm thinking of marrying, Kyla's mom. I need to make sure that we're on the same page and we have Kyla's best interests. So it's those conversations to let that person know that you guys are on the same team. That way the child won't try to go back and play both sides. When they see that you guys are coming together each time that they get in trouble, they can't sneak behind each other back and try to work each other against one another. So I think that's awesome to have that communication as your foundation. So yeah.
Shay, you was gonna say something?
No, I just agree with what everyone else said. I'm also a divorcee, so um, you do have to. The dad does have to be available. Um, both parents have to show a unified presence, teamwork, and just communicating. I don't think if you have those things as like the core components of y'all raising a child together, then it can work very seamlessly. Like if you always put the child's best interest first. So um, I know me and my child's father, we've been doing it for a long time. So it's just like it's second nature. Like it's the child's best interest first at all times, always. That's it.
How do you determine what the child's best interests are?
Um, I think when you have that open line of communication, now it doesn't mean we will always agree on the approach or what is in the best interest of the child at that time. I think you still have to understand the parent as well, and y'all just will parent differently, and it doesn't mean that your way is right and that his way is wrong or vice versa. It's just different, and I think children can grasp what they need to from each parent. So we have several conversations. Like and ours is in a different state. So I'm in Texas, he's in Illinois, but you wouldn't even know as much as he has our son and how much they communicate. So he calls our son every morning before school. He calls him every day right after school and right before bedtime. So he's gonna get 3 phone calls a day. Whoever house he at, I tell them his dad is gonna call him 3 times minimum that day. It's just what it is, right?
Yeah.
So it's just certain things that you just automatically uh, allow them to lead on, especially like Shantiri said, if they're better in that area. Because I'm more of a hothead, he's more calm. So it's like, all right. He's like, you need to calm down. I'm like, all right.
I think there's a theme here. I'm not gonna say what it is, I'm gonna just see if y'all
Leave that alone.
acknowledge it yourself.
Whatever. Whatever. Can I make a point? I have two things.
Yes, ma'am.
Number one, I think it's important that we also have the discussion about parenting, dad's parenting inside the home, because there are plenty of men who are out here who do not parent well inside the home. And then before I move, we maybe move into that. Also wanted to add that as a dad parenting outside the home, I think it's important that they keep their thoughts concerning the child's mother to themselves.
Absolutely.
Hands down.
Absolutely.
They,
That
your
is so true.
children should never know what issues you have with an ex, with a girlfriend, a baby mama, whatever the situation is.
Mhm.
They are not responsible for taking that on and dealing with issues that you have. So those thoughts, whatever, leave them to yourself. Have someone that you can talk to, you can blow off steam with, but it should never be your children.
I agree.
That's
Agree.
what's up. I appreciate you addressing that. We were going to get to a particular question like that, uh, what you were saying, Shantari. So go ahead and you can ask your question how you had it.
Okay.
Uh,
So I know we talked about dads parenting outside the home, but what does it mean for a dad to parent, or what does that look like? A dad parenting inside the home when they are there.
for sure. We had this question last week. Dwayne, what was it that you said last week?
No, that's a good question. I
Which
don't.
you mean both are good questions?
Yeah, both. Yeah, both are
Yeah,
both a good question. But I mean, um, I don't remember exactly what I said, but I think it's vital. But Shantiri, she did make mention of it as for fathers being inside the home but not parenting. I think discipline. That's what I said. It was discipline. I think Shay made mention earlier about the mother and as her nurturing. I think a father's one of their biggest roles is as for discipline, and that's something that is very very important and vital to me. Not just because I see the importance of it in others, but the lack of it in me. So my father and my mother divorced while whenever I was 8 years old, and so there it was a split household. So in that, as for my dad parenting outside the home, that had an interesting dynamic because kids, it's their job, like it's their full-time job to manipulate the situation. That's their full-time job. So I just found the best way that I could maneuver through whatever it was and slide wherever I could. But whenever a dad is present, it limits that. Whenever I mean like mentally present, like present inside their child, inner thoughts, like what are their what makes them tick, what do they enjoy, those things. So the importance to me is the presence of the father inside the home to maintain that order and maintain that discipline, and that's vital because I lacked it, so I
that's
see
what's
the
up.
importance now.
Yeah, that's what's up. Antoine, what you got on that?
Man, first of all, I would like to say that everybody on the panel sounds so mature with all of the answers of how to father outside of the home. You guys have very mature situations.
Yeah,
Um, I will say that I'm in a situation with my oldest daughter where it's not on that level yet. Where you might know some people like this, where I have to go to court, and get paperwork to see my daughter, and governs my phone calls and all of those things, because it's her mom might she tries to limit that contact as much as possible. She's married to somebody else now. I'm married to somebody else. Still a lot of hot feelings there, heated feelings. So it, even though my daughter's 14, it's still not on that mature level where we can communicate. But it's through the grace of God that I do feel like I've had to go the extra mile, go to the court, stand in front of judge after judge after judge, hire attorney after attorney after attorney, and make sure that I get that my right as a father for that parenting time. That's important. I know a lot of men who, when they have to deal with the baby mama drama, the moms keeping them away from kids and stuff like that, they just kind of throw up their hands and be like, well, they won't let me see my kid. And that's not the way. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not built like that. I'm not getting ready to meet my 20-year-old daughter and she wondering where was I at. Like I want her to know, like, I've been chasing you the whole way. Like wherever you move, wherever she go, I'm gonna be there to go to court to see you. Like I don't care where she moved to Antarctica, I'll be in front of the judge in Antarctica, and we're gonna do that, make it happen.
I know
Uh,
that's right.
That's what's up.
I just feel like that's the way the Lord seeks us.
Yeah.
So it's my duty as a father to, to try to seek my daughter. I know I put her in a situation. I always explain to her, father didn't make the right decisions. We didn't do it correctly. And this is what you have to go through because we're in different states. So she has to go through the flying back and forth and all that. What you have to go through, you don't want your kids to go through that, right? So let's make some different decisions than what your mom and dad made. And I found that that's been helpful to use us as an example. As far as my kids who are inside the home, I try to take full advantage. I have girls, so it's a little different than raising boys. But with my girls, I think it's very important that I'm always emotionally available to them. Is what I found. They want to always tug on my emotions, and it's a weird little dance. I feel like
Give
they
me an
all
example, bro. Give me an example of this emotional tug that you talking about, bro.
man, like my
Uh,
daughters, when they don't want to do something, right? They'll come and like curl up under me like a little cat, and they know like it's hard to.
Stiff arm.
And I'm just like, I feel like you try to manipulate me in this thing, but just being
And
in
they
tune
are.
to them.
Yes.
Like
Yes,
puppy in your hand.
Yeah, that's what Dwayne said. He called it. They full
they
time
just
manipulators.
they just I'm just like, oh my goodness. But what I have learned is they have their own personalities. So I have to like pay attention to what
Hmm.
their personalities are, how they differ from mine, and make sure that I'm not being too heavy handed, but then also make sure they have boundaries and understand that there are boundaries and consequences. Because the older I get with my daughters, I realize that the world is constantly pumping in messages to my girls that they're limitless and they don't have boundaries, and I just constantly want to let them know, no, there's boundaries and consequences
Yep,
to
yep.
this world out here. It is consequences, consequences, consequences. So that's something they try to skirt the consequences. So that's the tug of war we in, like the consequences versus the whole lovey-dovey thing.
Yeah.
It's a fine balance with us ladies. A fine balance.
Yes.
Ah,
It's complicated.
It's a fine balance.
it is. You have a couple at the house over there.
Yeah, that is true. I have a couple. Yeah,
I'm a mother of three, and I still have a fine balance. Like, I don't want you touching me right now because I get the same thing. Like,
yeah,
go away.
yeah. She wants like half a second hugs. You know what I'm saying? However, she want me to have my undivided attention if she tell me a story about a book that I have no idea. Listen, I need you to not start in the middle. Like I don't know these characters.
Right.
I don't know the storyline. So but she wants me there for that. Like, but as far as hugs, nah, she ain't with the hugs really. So
I feel you, brother.
so yeah, so this is really good. I really appreciate this. All those that are out there, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Uh, Joel said, men provide a system. They give order and set the structure inside the home. Dads are vital to raise functional children. Those are the dads that are inside the home. I wonder who that
Like
is.
that.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Joelle.
Yeah,
You know
great
her?
comment.
You know her, Antoine?
I think I might have met her before. No, that's my wife. That's my wife.
Hey, wifey.
Great response.
That's what's up. Sound like y'all on the same page. That's what's up. That's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so
definitely.
anybody have something to add to that before I go to the next question? Did we answer your question, Shantari?
You did.
I think
And
Antoine did.
Antoine
Did
and his
anybody else?
wife, they like putting bows on the end of things. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
praise the
I
Lord.
think too it's not gonna happen overnight. It's a process. And with my older son's father, I may, give him the information, but he doesn't do anything. And it's like you get tired of bringing them information and they don't respond the way you feel like they should respond and handle things.
Yep.
So you kind of like like you kind of just like let things happen, and you just lean towards your spouse. I hate to be that way, but it's like I'm giving you this information, but what are you doing with it?
Right.
So I just kind of give him his space. And some fathers, they don't know how to balance, being in a home with their spouse and their family and raising someone outside of their house. I can only give him so much. I've given him pointers, but he doesn't bite. So,
Yeah, it's a challenge for. I'm sorry. Go ahead and finish your thought.
I mean, all I can do is pray to God that he understands one day. My oldest is 16, so he almost 18 and he still ain't got it, So it's a matter of the person. Some people don't know how to balance. So I just let things be sometimes and don't get all hyped up about it.
Absolutely.
So
That's what's up. Eric, you was laughing. What was you laughing about?
Oh man, no, just because I understood totally, you know. Uh, I mean, I have a daughter and three sons, and you know, it's never, it's never a dull moment, Uh, but so I will add this about the impact of a dad in the home. When you're outside of the home, you realize how impactful you are or you were inside the home. So uh, so that gives you a little more perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was inside the home, just like Dwayne said, man, it was a lot more discipline for my kids because I was right there. A lot more communication, although I communicate with them a lot now. But just being able to tell them to sit down next to you at any moment, at any time, things like that. Uh, Being inside the home, man, you can make a lot more of a difference. Although, like I said, I want it to be as if I'm not even gone, but just being there, I could definitely tell. You can make a greater difference.
I
Yeah,
would add to. Go ahead, Shay. You were gonna say something?
I was just gonna say, I agree. I believe women create the atmosphere in the home, and then the men set the tone, right? And so, but they work together in unison
Definitely.
to make impact.
Say it again. You
So,
said women set the.
women create the atmosphere, and then men set the tone. And so, they both work together in unison to create this impact. And so, I think that it's needed for the man to be in the home because he has to set the tone for the order or structure of it all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Was you gonna say something, Eric?
No, I just absolutely.
That's what's up. Dwayne, what did you wanted to add? Did you have something?
Oh no, I mean, if we could go back to your first question about the dads
Yeah.
and that's rating them, I think the same thing for the mom. I'd have to give the mom the importance uh, as for moms as well, because I mean, there are some dads out here
We're
raising.
not talking about moms.
Yeah, I get it. But I have to say, I mean, just like what Shay was saying, it's vital, like for both sides, because it is an interesting dynamic, the mother and the father, and I think God made no mistake in setting it up that way. So I mean, a lot of these issues is due to the imbalance of that concoction. So I think God put it together for that specific reason. That's for raising children. No matter if it's boys or girls, that dynamic is necessary.
Definitely agree, right? I'm aware of that. It takes two to make the thing go right, right? But the goal for me is to educate men, you know what I mean, on I'm not being funny, you know what I'm saying, but to educate men on like things that they could do to be a good dad, or
Yeah.
those dudes that are not a dad yet and wanted to have that information in front of them before they become a father. Like there's a young dude in my Sunday school class. He's 28, and the next youngest person in that class is probably 40, right? Maybe 40. And he's been coming to this class since he was 17. Okay. And he doesn't have a father in his house. So the thing that he does is he comes to the Bible study and he asks us all these questions. Like, and he just tries to soak up as much as he can about fatherhood, about being married, about life in general, right? And so for me, I want the guys to be very well educated before they get into being a father. And if you are already one, that you have some tools in your tool belt, right? I mean, it should already be known that it takes two, right? Right. But for me, I'm just trying to educate the man in the situation, right? I'm with you. Okay.
So that just, I don't know if this question is off topic, but that just leads me
If it is, it doesn't matter.
okay. But that just leads me to ask, because I see, and maybe the men can answer this, and this is more for them, but I see fatherhood and being a husband as two different roles, right? So it's like my ex-husband, for instance, he's a great father. He's a great father. I'll
Oh
give
man, it's about to be a
You are
big
coming right down my lane.
Amen to that.
Wait a
They
minute.
don't know how to
We
balance.
won't do that. I'm not going to do it though.
Hey, we need to save that question for humble husbands.
No, but I'm saying
That
okay, it has to be more to it than just fatherhood, right? And so I think as a woman, we have to do a better job about being able to identify that. Like you said, how are we able to identify that they are a good father? But woman, if you're looking for a great husband and a great father, there are different characteristics. It may be some that lean in with both of them, right? That are in both categories, but it's different characteristics. So I know we're truly talking about fatherhood here, but I was just saying, look, y'all don't got me viscous here, but I was just
No,
thinking
no, no. I think it
two
makes
different roles, you know?
no, no, I think it makes
So
I
I
think
think
it's
as
a very
women,
good
we have to do a better job of being able to say, you know what? He wasn't a good husband or a good boyfriend for me. He's probably good for someone else, but he is an amazing father, or he is a great father, because it's really two different roles. Or is it not,
And
men?
just being humble myself, I'd probably say I fell in that category. You
Mm-hmm.
know, just being honest. I mean, I tried, but obviously, it didn't work. So, you know,
No, that's fair. And that's why I guess I just wanted to ask, if do you guys look at it as men as two different roles, or is it, I'm sure there are qualities in both, but is it really two different
I
kind of?
think it's a phenomenal question. Dwayne,
Yeah,
Dwayne, I want to go ahead, Dwayne.
yeah. No, that's a great question, and I'll say where I'm at now. It is a struggle. So my oldest is 16, and youngest is 2, going on 3. And for me, well, one of the things I think about is whenever stuff gets tough, whenever stuff gets difficult, I know that those kids are going to look at me as to see my endurance. And if I want to promote marriage, if I want to promote that it does take two to make a thing go right, if I do desire to promote that, I have to live it. And as a part of that, as it does go tough, they're going to look to see how I work through it, how we work through it. And that as tough as it may be, like my sons, I know they're going to look at me and say, hey, you know what, Dad, like, I know you want me to get married and I want you, but you didn't work it out with Mom. and that's one of the things that's going to be difficult and tough, because I'll say this, like, even since my parents, whenever they separated, that's one of the things that I still, that still bothers me. Like, I'm 34 now, but it still bothers me, because I look at my mom's situation and I look at my dad's situation, and they're two separate individuals, but then they had a commitment and they came together. And I look at it to see, like, what happened, what broke down, and for me, I desire to break that. And as difficult as my situation may be, and as difficult as certain things may come up, as much as I might want to quit, at times I can't. I can't. And I was talking to you about that earlier. I just said it's one of those things where it's like, you can't quit, you can't give up. And that's my situation. That's how I look at it, because they're going to look at me and say, whenever I tell them, hey, don't give up, don't give up, don't give up, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, you gave up on mom. And that's one of the things that does boggle my mind, and I have to continuously have to wrestle with, because it's not about me, as difficult as it may be.
That's what's up.
Wow.
I think a lot of kids ask that too. Like, why didn't you and mom and dad, work?
Well, I think it's
Not,
go ahead.
huh?
I think it's a difference. I think so he said that the kids would tell him, well, it didn't work. That's a statement. Now,
Mm-hmm.
if they ask,
Right.
why didn't you and mom work?
Right.
Then how he answers that question could go a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's pretty difficult too to kind of answer, because you don't want to give them too much,
Yeah.
and you don't want the child to think of their parent, in a negative aspect. But the older they get, they're gonna want to know.
Yep.
But with my situation with my son, he was finally honest with our son, because for a long time Kyla thought it was my fault because I gave up. But it's not necessarily that, and I think we are too hard on ourselves at times.
Mm-hmm.
But they got to understand too, like, sometimes it happens. It doesn't mean that mom is a bad person, or dad is a bad person.
Absolutely.
It may be because you guys were too young, and you both needed to mature. So sometimes I think we're too hard on ourselves. So
And I think now, going back to that other question about the impact of the father being in the home, that's another reason why it's imperative, right? Because then you get to see your father in two roles, in two different capacities, and how they operate in those two capacities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I see my son, he always talks about when I have my son, but that's based off his relationship. I'm like, when you have your wife, like,
Mm-hmm.
but he always talks about when he's gonna be a dad. He's 10. I'm like, dude, you're 10 years old. Like, but he loves his dad so much, He's like,
Ah!
when I have my son, like, you don't even know if you're gonna have a son. But what about your wife? Where the son gonna come from? So I think that's what having a dad in the house does. That's that type of impact that they're able to see the dad operate in both roles, as a husband and as a father.
That's
Absolutely.
phenomenal. Antoine, I know you want to say something on this. What you got?
Put that bow on it.
Man, I have so much to say on it, but
I know.
so a child is the fruit of a relationship between a man and a woman. So there's no way to get around that. I just think in the Black community, we separated that parenthood from that husband and wife thing. We've turned it into two different things, but one grows out of one grows out of the other. I remember when people would ask, I was like the first out of my little crew to have a kid, and all my friends would ask me, like, what is it like being a dad? I said, man, listen, the number one thing I can tell you is mate selection. Like, it's easy if you get along with the person you had a
Say
kid
that.
with,
Say it
but it's hard.
again. You said
Mate
mate
selection, like
selection.
mate selection. If you don't know how to select a mate, it's not just going to harm your ability to be a husband, but it's going to harm your ability to be a good father.
Yeah.
And that's gonna hurt your lineage, it's gonna hurt your pocket, it's gonna hurt your heart, it's gonna hurt. It's no way to separate it. But in our community, we've just separated it so much that people are raised to think that you can just get IVF, or you can do whatever. I'm gonna have a kid, I'm ready to have a kid. But a kid is a fruit of two people. So um obviously I have my oldest daughter, she's not in the home with me. It's something I constantly have to explain and make sure I use myself as the example of what not to do, because the Bible gives us examples of what to do, but it also gives us examples of what not to do. So I have to lay my life out there is, this is what you don't do right here. What me and your mom did, you want to do it like this, and point towards the guide stones that the word of God gives us. But that I truly believe, man, mate selection is the key to fatherhood. Who you have a kid with will determine how good of a father you can be to that child. You're going to have limitations if you don't learn how to properly evaluate a mate. That is key in the animal kingdom, and it's key amongst humans.
So I think that's real,
That's
because I
real.
hear my
Yeah.
son's father tell my son that a lot. He always be like, "You think I pick your mama for no reason?" Like, come on. So he tells him that a lot. Like, he'll go through
Straight
like,
up.
I just didn't pick any old body, like, even though. But I think that
Yeah.
was wisdom that you just shared in terms of the kids are fruit from two people, and you're right. So that was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try to separate it, but kids know that they just know. They might not want to say it to you because they don't want to hurt your feelings. But just like if you grew up in a household where your parents weren't there, eventually you came of age and you figured out, oh, my dad is like this, my mom is like this. Yeah, that was never gonna work. That was a bad. You figured that out. The same way you figured it out, your kids gonna figure it out. Like, yeah, my mom is
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
My dad is like that. That was just a
Bro,
bad. They should have never got
Hey,
together.
that's real.
That
That's real.
was never gonna work.
That was
wow.
never. What was they thinking? Like that
Yeah.
was never gonna work. I know
I
my mom
had
and my
that
dad
thought,
now.
bro. I did have that thought. Shane and Kiana, stop playing. I had that thought.
So you was laughing hard.
Hey, yeah, yeah. That's when it's real.
Oh my God. But that's one thing that I do. I can say I ran away from people like my dad.
It was never gonna work.
I needed someone active. I'm sorry. Too many mental things going
Yeah.
on in people's
Yeah.
head without having a father figure.
Yeah.
That's a
But the first one, it was a oopsie, He was my friend, So
Man.
I
Mate
told my friend,
selection. You should put that out there.
Mate selection. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Put
Hashtag.
I'm
put
so
that on a
sorry,
t-shirt.
but when y'all said that about the
Yeah,
parents,
yeah.
I immediately was like,
Hey, you need to make a humble dad shirt that
Right.
says mate selection.
Mate selection.
yeah,
Mate
that's
selection.
good.
Mate
There you go.
selection matters. That what we
It
do.
does.
Yeah.
Man, listen. That would change the whole black community. Mate
Yeah.
selection.
Yeah,
Need to start
Yeah.
pulling credit reports, DNA samples.
yeah.
My
never
oldest
gonna work.
my oldest son is 22, and me and his mom, we weren't married, weren't really together. It's one of them things. And I went through a lot of what you're going through, Antoine. She was in Kansas, I was in Houston, and the point I want to make is that, like, so my last three are by my ex-wife, right? So sometimes I'll uh, I'll talk about those three without talking about him, and he'll shoot at me like, "You got four kids, Dad," or something like that. That sort of hurts, but mate selection, you know. But another thing I wanted to point out is that you know when they're young, they don't understand like who's at fault. It doesn't really matter. When they get older, they start to get it. He got it, and yet that time missed, it still affects the relationship.
Yep.
Even though he gets it, we're not as close as I would like us to be. But we love each other to death. But it affects it just because you can't get the time back and the experiences that you missed.
And I
That's what I
think
was gonna
that's
say.
probably what
Oh, go ahead.
encouraged me to not want to be the bottleneck in this whole co-parenting thing, because I knew there would come a point in time that he would know the real, and
Hmm.
I didn't want him to resent me or be upset for me because
Right,
of what I did or did not do at the time, right? So
right.
yeah, that's true.
That's what's up. I one thing I want to say is I appreciate you all's transparency, because one of the things that I see when I'm on these platforms, they typically speak in generalities, right?
Yeah.
And it's based, but when you speak from a position of a lived experience, people begin to understand a lot better a perspective, or get a better perspective on how they may be able to approach something, as opposed to speaking in, well, this is the generality of things, but however, let me tell you my story, because each one of you has a story, right? And so there'll be someone that will hear your story and say, okay, well, that makes sense to me. This is what I can do in that scenario, because generalities don't always, I would say most times, don't necessarily help individual people, right? But having seven, six different ideas, somebody can gravitate to one of those and say, okay, that one works for me, right? So I really appreciate you all's transparency for sure. You know what I'm saying? And for me, I would say that being a husband and being a father, I can see how someone would say that they're different. I can see, I can see that. However, as a person that's living after Christ, you want to make sure you love them in the way that they need to be loved. And so that's regardless. What I mean by that is everybody has a love language, whether
Hmm.
it's your wife, whether it's your kids, right? And the way that you show them that you love them is how they receive love. And regardless if you're a father or a husband, you should be able to do that, right? You should be
Yep.
able to, the time that you spend with them will allow you to know what it is that they need in order to be or feel that love. So, for example, for each one of my kids is different. Like Jordy, gotta have time. That's my 4 year old. You know what I'm saying? She want to play. She already told me, Daddy, you don't play with me enough. She 4. She already told me. Right? My 8 year old, that's what he wanted. He want to play video games, or he want to play cards or some type of board game. Here's his quality time. Josh, I just want to sit down and talk to you about what it is to be a man, Dad. You know
Wow.
what I'm saying? I just want to have a conversation. And he's an athlete, right? So we can go play sports all day, but that ain't what he want to do in order to gain that quality time or that affection, right? And then Gianna, she's the individual that's like, I'm chilling. Dad, when you have time for me, I've had a lot of time with you versus all the other kids. I just like having that time when we ride in the car, and when we in the car, that's her time when she's gonna take up all the airspace. You know what I'm saying? And I'm cool with that because I understand that's her opportunity to share with Dad in that time that she wants to spend with me. So I would definitely encourage men, of course, with women, of course, but men, get to that point where you have that time with them so you can learn their love language, whether whether that's your wife or the person that your spouse, not your spouse, but the person that you're dating, or your kids, because that is where you will see a lot of fruit come in. All right, so we're gonna get to another question unless somebody has something else to say. This, are y'all enjoying yourself? Are y'all okay?
Absolutely.
Did
Absolutely.
the nerves
Yeah.
go away?
Yes.
I know they
Yeah.
did for Shay. You know what I'm saying? I don't even have to ask. Right? All right, for sure. All right, so this kind of goes to the point about how, since either dads are in or outside of the house, the kids need to be educated, right? There needs to be some learning going on, obviously. But
Hmm.
my question is, because oftentimes it's kind of put upon the mom in society. in society in general. I don't know how it is in y'all's households necessarily, but my question is, well, how it's labeled is that the mother should be the one that's given that education, right, or that learning experience. So the question would be, how can a dad get involved in their kids' education? How can a dad get involved in their kids' education?
Are we just talking about what they learn in public, private, or charter school? Okay.
Nope, not necessarily.
All
No,
right. I just wanted to clarify.
no, no problem. I mean, you can put it up either one. You can say in public education or at home. Like this, it's up to you to put it together how you want to.
That's so, as an educator, I think if two parents are in a home, even if they're in separate homes, when it comes to public, private, or charter, you both need to be collaborating as parents, to make sure that a child is receiving a quality education. In my home, we have a child who is special needs, and my ex-husband just does not touch that at all. I am the sped person. He already knows, you know, all the lingo, the language, get it. And it's like sending in the troops, the cavalry, because
What do
he
you
knows.
mean by you're the spare person? Can you
I
clarify?
I am a I am a special education teacher. That's my background. And so he just does not touch that. If my children needed to know music, I wouldn't touch that. I would leave it to him. But as far as the four content areas, science, social studies, math, and ELAR, we both should be on the same page when it comes to that. If one has strengths in the other, of course, like homework help, all of that, we can divvy up those responsibilities. Quite naturally, there are going to be things that my son needs to obtain specifically from his father. I just, I am not a man, will never be a man, have no intention on trying to become one, because it is 2022 and that is your right, but I'm not going to do it. So he needs those lessons from his father. I have three daughters. They are going to need specific lessons that I can give them. If it comes to money management, who does it better? In our home, I was over budgets, I was over spreadsheets, I was over those things. He has a plethora of knowledge when it comes to certain financial aspects. So we have to work together for those specific topics. I really think you should play to strengths when it comes to things within the household, that you want to educate your kids on. And then there is a gender. I believe I have things that are not on your body as a man. Bless God. Hallelujah. So you need to teach my son those things that he came equipped with that look like yours. And I need to teach my girls about the things that my body came equipped with that look like mine.
Well said.
I
That's
got
hey,
that.
you put that together for
Whoa.
sure for us not to get blocked. I appreciate that.
Oh,
It is what it is. I
all
don't
right,
expect him
educator.
to go and talk about those things with them.
Absolutely.
For what?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's inappropriate.
That's what's up.
No,
Anybody?
And Terry, renewed lens, you can come for me if you need to. We can have a whole conversation.
That's
Yeah.
what. Anybody else to add? How can a dad get involved in their kids' education?
So, so when you say how, and I'm an educator as well, and I'm a dad as well. So, but when you say how can a dad get involved, it sort of sounds like a dad wouldn't know to just get involved, you know. Uh,
Well,
so
there are some that don't, right?
yeah, yeah. So the main thing there is some people do have strengths and weaknesses. So I feel in my relationship with my ex, she has custodial, custody, but I'm really the main one that uh, sort of pushes the education. Like I'm the one who, when my son went to high school, made sure he had the right schedule. You know, with honors classes, athletics, art. I want him to be well rounded, right? My younger kids, I'm the one at meet the teacher. Uh, and my son has dyslexia, so we knew that early on. So I'm the one that pushed for him to be held back. Like I knew, just I was outside of the house at this point, and I knew from my conversations with him that he wasn't ready to move forward. And it was during COVID, so as hard as the teachers were trying to push him forward, they couldn't give me a reason to, because I knew him. I had these conversations every day. You can't tell me you have paperwork that proves he can go forward, because he can't. And so I I think that helped him actually being held back a grade. But you know, when it comes to education, the dad I believe just needs to do it. But you also got to be comfortable, and it's got to be something that's in your skin, because you know you probably won't fare so well if it's not something that you're comfortable doing, or that you know you have you know but they're your kids, man. You got to fight for your kids, and education's a big part of that. you know
Give them the teacher answer, Eric.
yeah, I'm a special ed teacher also.
Give them the teacher answer. Parent, meet the teacher night. Check the child grades. Do
Yeah,
homework with your children.
yeah,
There's parent portals all over the internet.
absolutely.
Check on your kids.
Yeah.
Okay? Call the school if you're not sure. Show up for math night, science
Mhm.
night, ELAR nights. If there's tutoring on weekends, make sure your kid gets there if the school sends home notices.
Yeah.
Have a working number on file. Have a accurate address
Mhm.
on file. When
Mhm.
we are calling about your kid, little Johnny, even if it's 100 times, it's because someone is having problems. Elijah, I like that you blew my face up. Um,
Preach.
these are the teacher answers.
And those are the experiences we go through. Absolutely. you
Show
know
up.
yeah, you see the school's number, don't
Don't.
send me
Yes,
the
messages.
voicemail.
Come on, Eric. We call it because we need help. We
Hmm.
have to work together.
We
He
care.
getting
So
on your nerves, and you think you're just gonna send him with us for eight hours. We call it, and you saying, "I'm at work, so am I." Hello, I can't do my job either because he over here acting a fool.
absolutely.
We all at work. That's what I'm calling. Hello, come on.
We
Oh
all at work.
man,
Absolutely.
Dwayne, what you thinking, bro?
no, that's real. That's real. That's real. Because school is like what daycare for kids,
It
and
can
A
be.
lot of times it seems like
that's what
it.
most yeah. And they as for parents, most parents, I don't think they have an expectation for their kids other than go.
Yeah.
So, which I
There they can go.
other than go, and I'm gonna go to work. You go over there.
And
So
that would be the dads that are below a 5.
okay, there you go.
And I think life education as well. It's like I
Talk
think
to him.
Antoine said that share your experiences, because especially as a black male, it's very important that those conversations are had on
Hmm.
how to maneuver through society, right? And that's
Hmm.
something I can't talk to my son about, but his dad does a very good job. And even sometimes when he brings it to me, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, he's like, well, that's what my dad said. I'm like, well, he said it, then it's true, because I don't know. So I think, like Shantiri mentioned as well, you have to play to those strengths. Just show up, have the conversations about what you want your child to know. And having that initiative, which is those qualities that we mentioned, he has to just have that initiative to say, this is what I want my son to know. Like every summer, my son goes with his dad for the whole summer. The last day of school, he gets picked up by his dad and he comes back 2 days before school starts. The whole summer, right?
Mhm.
But they go to the museum almost every week, every summer. And my son is like, I'm tired of going to the museum. I've been doing this for 5 years. But that's what he wants to teach him. He takes him to the African American Museum. He takes him to the Science Museum. He takes them to the Nature Museum. So those are the things that he wants to teach him, in addition to having conversations. His dad is a talker. I'm more of spanker. So, that education piece he educated him in those conversations, right? His dad is doing the academics. Like I would give him the list of the spelling words and be like, hey, you can do that. I'll pay for the tutor, but if you can do that, like I don't have the patience in that area. So you really have to just understand what those strengths are and then just play to those strengths and then know that it is academia, but it's also life lessons too. That's
Like
part of the education piece.
That's a bit. DBU Patriot Princess said, "Yes, Elijah. That knowing each family member comes more intuitively for women, but it's important for men to apply themselves to it too." And then the other statement was, "Yes, life education is equally important. There's a lot you can learn from a book, but there's a limit."
Absolutely.
So that's
Especially if
what's
they
up.
don't put it in the book.
What'd you say?
yeah.
I said, especially if they purposely leave it out the book.
Yeah.
Everything is not in a book. It's a person's perspectives that's in the book.
Absolutely.
That's
Also, I would like to speak on this subject from. I feel like everybody on this panel has a advantage, kind of, because you're kind of all educators. Most of the time, when you have educators, their kids are going to be pretty high functioning in the academic world. Now we know that
Dwayne's not
Hey,
educated.
hold on.
I'm not an
he's,
educator.
Shannon's not an
but
educated.
he's educated. Like these
He
are
said he's
mostly I can
educated.
tell educated.
Educated.
So I think when
Exactly.
you run into a lot of problems, is you run into a lot of problems when, and I want to speak out there from some of my fathers who might not, you might have dropped out in 10th grade, dropped out in 11th grade, and those I think are the fathers who might be a little more intimidated to get involved in their children's education. I will say, as a father, I want to charge you to still say, you know what, I'm going to be humble and be honest about the things I don't know and the things I didn't know, and not be intimidated, and still say, you know what, it's my job to make sure, even though I might not be able to teach my kid how to read because I can't read that well, I need to make sure my kid can read. So I need to be involved, and like Shanteri was saying, partner with the teachers who can help my child be better than me. Because I think a lot of the frustration comes when I was teaching, at least. We all had that parent teacher night where you have a kid and you got all these questions for the parents, and then you meet the parents, you're like, oh well, I see exactly why they act like that, because the
Absolutely.
parents, they
No.
all
Absolutely.
Bruh.
Don't fall
apple
too
don't fall
far.
far from the tree. So exactly. So I've met some of the fathers, and when I'm asking them questions, you can tell they're intimidated. They don't know, the answers. They can't help the kids with the homework. But that's where I think one of the biggest things about being a father is you gotta be humble dad. You gotta have humility and admit what you don't know, and make sure that your kid go to somebody who does know it. And you gotta be able to still be as involved and say, you know what, I can't read, but Miss Shanteri can. So you're gonna be in front of Miss Shanteri every single day after school, and I'll
Both
be
of
there. I
y'all.
can't read, but I can beat you. So you're gonna be there.
Both of you.
And those things are important. Do what you
Yes.
can do. Don't worry about what you can't do. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to be intimidated or embarrassed. You can't read, you can't read. It is what it is. You struggle, you never made it past the 9th grade, you had to go to work, whatever. I know
So,
some of my Hispanic brothers had to leave school early. So, you just make sure that your kid get what you did not have. And I think that will help you be involved in their education.
That's dope. What I noticed about what you said, Antoine, this dude that you was talking about, his education level kept getting lower and lower.
They have classes for
He
parents.
went from 11th grade, 10th grade, 9th grade.
absolutely, bro.
Like, what? Are we talking about 3 different people?
Hold them back. Hold them
Yeah,
back.
I'm just talking about a myriad of people. This is just
Okay.
the avatar of the
So this
father.
is my
I
might
didn't
not
even
be
catch that.
This is
involved
my-
in the education.
Kiana
Yeah.
talking about both
It's
for
an
the parent,
avatar.
the parent and the kid need to be in tutoring. That was
So-
what you said.
and this is where uh, mate selection comes in at. Like, I think it's very important for people to choose someone that is strong in what they're weak in. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I know I'm not too bright, the woman I get gonna damn sure be bright. You know what I'm saying? It's something like
Ah,
that.
Exactly.
All right.
Yes.
I don't know, bro.
Hey
No,
man,
hold on.
Yeah.
So I
you
like to
gotta.
speak on this now. So you try to get me early, Elijah. You try
I
to get me
did,
early.
bro.
Okay. All right. All right. So exactly to what Antoine's saying. So uh going through school, I really didn't pay attention. Now you see, I got glasses on. I was the dumb kid in the back of the class trying to be cool, needing glasses. All right. So
Okay.
as for education, education was not too high on my list of things to do. I'll gladly say that. Now, as I grew up, I realized how important it was. And as for my oldest now, I remember she was in the either the sixth grade, I believe it was the sixth grade, and she's a junior now. And I remember, pushing her for her grades. Hey, straight A's, straight A's. And I'll say, you know what? You get straight A's, I'll take you anywhere you would like to go in the country. You get bring home straight A's throughout the whole year, anywhere you'd like to go. And that was just a standard I set for her. And it was a difficult barrier for her to break through. And I remember her coming home and saying, one of the counselors said, B's are okay. And I said, and she was like, somebody's in my corner. Bees are okay. And I said, no, 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 no.
It is when you're trying to make honey. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. But
Is she
that's not,
employed still?
yeah, that's not what we're trying to do. So because I don't desire her to have her standards low, as high as possible. So in that, I realized that some people don't even want the best for your own kids. So I know what I wanted and desired for her. So in that, I'm proud to say she achieved that goal. And I was looking at she was doing pre-cal last night, and I could have sworn she was reading a book because the string of the equation went for all the way from left to right, and I said, "But these are numbers." Now to the other point, like mate selection. My wife's an accountant. She has a master's degree and all that, right? So if she needs any help with any kind of math or anything, go see your mama. All right. And if mom is not able to assist her, it's like resources. You have all these other resources in which we can then direct you to. And not only that, we would desire for you to then seek those out. If you have a friend who's in the top 10 percentile or number one or number two, and that's your friend, oh yeah, ask for help. And the beauty of it, she has. And watching her desire to reach for success, I'm hey, that's exactly what I'm asking for. So as for what y'all touched on, as for mate selection, it's very important because I'm not good with the numbers. Honestly and truly, I'm married an accountant. So it,
So is
it
that gonna be a T-shirt too? Marrying a woman
married,
account. That's what's up.
don't bring the humor though. You're gonna be I'm done. I'm done. Accountants they don't like the jokes, but
We do. We do.
no, but
But this what's up.
that's some good points that y'all brought up though. But yeah, I lacked those things. So education was my. But then as for life education, like last week you had on Joe, and Joe spoke about it. He a lot of the things that he likes to teach us through stories and through experience. And I do believe there's strong value in that. Like as for there's a difference between book smarts and then street smarts. You see, you have these people that go and spend years in college, but don't know a lick about the world.
And that's where I guess I'm unconventional in that. Like, I respect academics. I have a master's and did pursue my doctorate. So I respect it. However, that's not the expectation I'm putting on my son, honestly. It's not. So I think on If he gets A's, wonderful. If he gets a C, I'm still proud of him. I told him I look at his effort more than, and I was a straight A student, so I respect it. But I also know my son, he doesn't care for academia, so I'm strengthening those qualities in him and making him aware of the same qualities that I see that he can utilize in business, in other areas outside of academics. And so I remember pushing him to that point, right? And his father as well, pushing him to that point. And then we had to collectively have a conversation. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm seeing in school every day, right? So let's readjust the expectations so he won't feel defeated, so he won't feel like he isn't doing what he's supposed to do, and um, you know, readjust that a little bit to fit him and what he is.
I agree. My son made straight up 70s all last year in reading. And I was like, emailing teachers, what is the problem? Tutoring. He doesn't need it. Apparently he does because you keep giving him 70s. I don't understand what the problem. That's what he's earning. Okay. Then he mastered to start reading. I said, well, I'm just going to leave you alone. Turn your homework in. I don't.
Wow. That's what's up. Hey, listen,
I feel you.
I have appreciated the opportunity to share this panel with you all. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you'll be back again one day. If you know anyone that may be interested in being on a panel discussion about fatherhood, have them reach out to me at humbledad78@gmail.com. And if anyone of y'all want to come back next week, y'all just let me know. Where can they find you if they want to get in touch with you? Kind of share what you do. So, if they want to holler at you, they can. Shay, we'll start with you.
Okay, I'm Shay McNuckles, and McNuckles is MCN, not MCK. I'm a tax and accountant CEO. I own a company called Uptown Discovery Group. And so we offer tax debt resolution. So if you owe the IRS, we offer tax preparation in multiple areas. My team is broken down by specialty area groups. And then we also offer income tax training. So if you're looking to get in the business, you can always find me at Shay McNuckles anywhere, Instagram or Facebook.
That's what. Thank you, Eric. What you got, bro? Where can they find you?
What's up, people? Hey, Eric T. Jackson, Eric Teeler Jackson, Tealer, on Facebook. I have a financial YouTube channel where I educate young people on the advantages of finance, the different tenets of building wealth, and new investors as well. That is Eric T. Jackson TV. And my Instagram is Eric_T_Jackson_TV. Appreciate you, brother. Yep.
No doubt. Thank you. Kiana?
I'm Kiana Williams. You can find me on Facebook as Kiana Granville Williams. My profession is human resources. I also have a nonprofit for widows and widowers called the Flowers Foundation. And then I'm also an esthetician and a mom and a wife.
That's what's up. Thank you for being here. Antoine? You're on mute.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
But yeah, my name is Antoine Renee. I'm not on any social media at all, but I just put my email up of my name, Antoine Renee, AntwarAinReine at yahoo.com. If you want to contact me, got any questions, please feel free.
That's a bet. Shanteri?
Shanteri Glenn. I am on Instagram, and you should be able to find me on Facebook under Renewed Lens, RENEWEDLENS. Special education extraordinaire. Yes, I do believe that much in myself. God bless you. I can help answer all questions. If you have any questions about our processes, goal writing, please, parents, if you're not sure about these goals and progress monitoring for these teachers, holla at your girl. We'll get you squared away. I also have a side business where I am a loctician. You will not find any of my pictures online because I do limit my clientele. But you are welcome to reach out to me. God bless.
Last but not least, Mr. Dwayne, what you got?
Uh, Dwayne Jones. No social media. I'm not social like that. I actually I, I work IT, computers and all that fun stuff. A lot of side hustles. Main side hustles is photography. Dwayne Jones Photography.com. Um, but yeah, that's about it. I do
Well,
limit
I
my
want to.
clientele as well.
What'd you say?
I said I do limit my clientele as well. That's
That's what's up. Well, I want to say thank y'all to every one of y'all that's been here. It's been real. It's been dope. And everybody that's out there, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel, Humble Dad Podcast. We'll be back here, same channel, next week. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.
easy.
Later.
Bye.